Hello everyone, I'm Michaela Kathleen, and in this video I'm doing my mid-year reading journal flip through. This is the same journal from last year. By the time I was done with last year's journaling, I was only like halfway through the journal, so I definitely had enough room for this year, and I think I'm still gonna have a few pages left at the end of the year. And so next year I'm planning to do like an extremely pared down reading journal, basically not doing individual pages for books anymore, just monthly kind of stats pages and like the opening and ending pages. So yeah, but getting right into this year's mid-year flip through. Let's see if I can find the mid-year point. Last year's mid-year, end of the year last year stats. All right, this is the journal this year. Starting off again with just the title page. I'm still doing little drawings for each book I read. So this, for example, is the last book I read, Name of the Wind. And I like how this page turned out. I like the sticker. I wanted to do more with the title page this year. Last year's just felt kind of plain to me. And last year the drawings didn't fill up very much of the page. So I was hoping that if I filled up with other things more, that these would then be forced to take up a little bit more of the blank space, which we're about halfway through the year now, so I don't know how well that's gonna work out. I think for the second half of the year, I'm gonna start doing drawings down here and work my way this way. But these are my monthly reading plans over here. I plan out very far in advance, as you can see. And this year I started doing my TBR game, so some months have been filled in by the TBR game. And then this page is just my tracker of what books I've read, with my goal of 45 books. I've read 24 so far, so I'm definitely on track. And the colors this year do mean something. Last year the colors didn't really mean anything. I just picked colors that I felt like went with the covers of the books. But this year the colors denote genre, which I have marked down at the top of the next page. So purple is fantasy, pink is YA/romance, contemporary YA/romance, because I almost never read adult romance. Green is sci-fi, orange is historical fiction, gray is literary, and white is nonfiction. And then I also this year kind of have been adding these little lines on top to track how many books I'm reading per month. So yeah, I like this page much better this year. And I think I'm gonna use the same form of color tracking next year, because I had considered either doing the genre for the colors or the month, and I think I'm glad I picked genre. And then the next page is favorite books of the year. I put down my favorite book each month, and then they go head to head, and then head to head again until I'm gonna get my favorite book of the year at the end of the year, which I think is gonna be Skyward, which was a reread. We'll see if I get surprised. And then we've had a glance at this page already up top with the little genre tracker, but then I also put my A to Z tracker, trying to read a book that starts with every letter of the alphabet. And by trying, I mean, if it happens to happen, cool. I'm not actually putting real effort into it. And then we have my book bingo. Again, I don't go out of my way to actually get all of these. It just, if I happen to read something that fills a category, yay me. So no bingos yet. If I just read a myth retelling this year, I'll have a bingo. Last year I did pretty good on this one. I had multiple bingos. I had 4 corners. I just didn't get the blackout. The next page is my world tracker. Not doing super great yet this year. Just 4 countries. Last year I had 12 by the end of the year, so I'm definitely falling behind compared to last year a little bit. And then the next page is a new page this year, Read the Rainbow. And this is just having book covers that are every color of the rainbow. Some of the books in the rainbow so far are LGBTQIA+, but mostly I was just wanting to read a book with covers in every color, and then I'm gonna have a, nice picture of them all at the end of the year stacked up to make a little rainbow. It was more of an aesthetic page than anything else. Then after that, I have my little Dutch door section of various reading trackers, which I really like how that turned out. I did not do any Dutch doors last year, so this was fun and I like how it looks. So the first tracker I have here in the little reading tracker section is series. We've got the Skyward series up top, which I just have one left, but I'm waiting for that one to come out in paperback. And then we have Library of the Unwritten, which I read the first one last year. Same with Dread Nation, American Royals, and Red Queen. And then I have 3 series here at the end that I have not started yet, but I do think I'm going to start the Lady Janie's soon because there's a series coming out for it. I'm not sure what streamer it's going to be on. I think maybe Amazon. Don't hold me to that. So I do think I'm going to read the first one soon and then watch the new series. And then below that we have my Barnes & Noble Book of the Year tracker. I've been reading their Book of the Year since they started doing that in 2019. I cheated once with Under the Whispering Door because I just was not interested in their actual Book of the Year that year, and Under the Whispering Door was their speculative fiction pick that year, and so I went with that instead. And we shall see what they announce for this year and whether or not I decide to actually continue doing this or not. And then the final tracker that I have in this little tracker section is various authors. I'm trying to read all of Frederick Bachman's books, all of V.E. Schwab's books, all of Leigh Bardugo's books, T.J. Klune, and maybe Patrick Ness. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with that one or not. And I might be adding a new author to this tracker for next year. This year I read Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, and I just got another one of her books, which I'm planning to read in February. So if I also really love that one, I might add her to the list. But moving on from the beginning section of the reading journal and into the months. First up is January, which I used this Christmas wrapping paper that just felt perfect for January. And I changed my whole monthly setup. Not so much the system, I'm still doing all the same things, but just in a different way. So last year, August, for example, since that's what I happened to turn to, I would do like the title page for the month, and then I would have the stats, which included like what I read, how many pages, average rating, various stats, and I also was keeping track of books I hauled and unhauled. So this year, in order to save pages, I wanted to consolidate the title page and the stats page. And I also had seen, I'm not sure where, on somebody's video here on YouTube, that they used little library cards in their reading journal, and I thought that was the cutest idea. So I decided to combine the title page with the library card, and the library card has all of my stats. So it's got books read, books hauled, books unhauled. I've also started putting my favorite book of the month at the top. And then on the back I have amount of books read, pages, and average rating. And then here is where I track various stats, male versus female author, whether it's a first time read or a reread, if it's fiction, nonfiction, or poetry, and any representation the book might have, or the books rather, because this represents all the books I read for the month. And then I also keep track of star ratings. So this month I read 1 5-star, 1 4-star, and 1 1-star. And those books were Under the Whispering Door was my 5-star read. I did not like this one as much as House in the Cerulean Sea, so it definitely was very close to getting more like a 4.5, but I ended up giving it 5. And then I read and watched Lessons in Chemistry, which I really enjoyed. And the last book of the month, the 1-star, was the Barnes & Noble Book of the Year, The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. And then moving on to February with that Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, which was by far my favorite book of the month. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, I read Stranger Things Suspicious Minds in that month, which was surprisingly good. I'm not usually a fan of tie-in novels. And then I did a little double pager But I did this with the Inkheart series at the very end of the year last year, and I kind of wished I had been doing that occasionally all along to save pages for books that I just don't need as much for them. So this Meet Cute was a short story collection, and short story collections are just not super my thing, so I didn't need a whole page for Meet Cute. And it just went well with Tweet Cute. And then one last romance to end off February with Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. And then moving into March, which my favorite book of that month was Murtagh, although I did not like it nearly as much as the original series. This obviously is one where I probably could have done a half page, but I just really wanted to do this drawing for Queenie, which took up a whole page, so same with Murtagh taking up a whole page, so bit of an empty page here, but oh well. Moving into April. My favorite book in April was Lunch in Paris. I read a lot of books in April, but none of them were great. I unhauled quite a few, but I also hauled quite a lot. And then April is the sticky month. These are actually temporary tattoos, which I just pasted in here. So they're kind of sticky. Of course, we have Harry Potter and the Cursed Child over here, which was a reread. I wanted to annotate it, but yeah, nothing can save that book. It was still not enjoyable, even making fun of it and annotating it. And then yeah, Greatest Love Story Ever Told. Bit of a wild page. I maybe did too much here. And then we have another little shared page with No Offense and Internment. I DNF'd No Offense. Just did not enjoy it. I also did not enjoy the Princess Diary book as a kid. I loved the movie, but did not like the book. So I think maybe Meg Cabot is just an author that is not for me. And then Lunch in Paris. Moving into May, my favorite book of the month and probably of the year, Skyward. But I did an unexpected reread of Turtles All the Way Down in May. I knew that the movie was coming out, but I just made the decision to reread at the very last second, and I quite enjoyed the movie. And then we have, this was just a great reading month for me, because we also had The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which was also a 5-star book. I just really enjoyed the character. And then of course Skyward, which as much as I love Skyward, I was just not feeling inspired by the book to make a nice page, so this is what we have for Skyward. And then I combined Starsight and Cytonic on a single page, which again just still was not feeling any inspiration on anything cool to do with these pages. I don't know why. But then finally we are in June. My favorite book of June, it was a close call between Tokyo Vice and Name of the Wind, but I ended up going with Tokyo Vice because it was just such interesting information. And I did unhaul Name of the Wind, but only because the series is unfinished. So it was good, but not good enough to read the second book, considering we may never get the third book. But if we ever do get the third book, I'm going to get a new copy of Name of the Wind, and I will finish the series. So that's all up to Patrick. But this was my Tokyo Vice page. Anyone in the know can let me know if I got this right. I believe that this is Tokyo. This one is the one I'm much more confident about. And I think that this is Vice, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to presume to be right about these things. And then we have We'll Always Have Paris, which I did not enjoy, but I did really enjoy the page that I made out of it. Oh, and then we have Name of the Wind, which I did not realize I had not finished. So I will probably work on this after shooting this, and then I'll just pop in a little clip showing what this ended up being. But honestly, I don't think it's going to be anything that exciting. And then finally we have the mid-year review, which I do like better than last year's. I did all of the same information, but I just made it look a little nicer this time. Last year I just, as you can see, just listed everything out in pencil, didn't put a whole lot of effort into the mid-year review. And also last year, because I hit this page at the end of May, I just decided to put the mid-year review here anyways. So this is more of a 5-month review than a mid-year review. But this year we have an actual mid-year review. And yeah, I've acquired 18 books, read 23, unhauled 8. Pretty good stats there. I like to always be reading more than I am hauling. May was just my best reading month in every way. I read the most pages, and I also had the highest average rating in May. I've got 51% of my goal, which is just perfect. My alphabet is falling a little bit behind, 44%. Last year I had 51% on both of these at technically the 5-month point, so I was doing really good last year. And then I've started 4 out of my 7 series, and I have not completed any of them, which is not great. But again, I would have finished Skyward if the last one was in paperback, but it's not. And then, like I said, 4 countries explored, which I would like to increase. My top books of each month were Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune, Murtagh by Christopher Paolini, Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, Lunch in Paris by Elizabeth Bard, Tokyo Vice by Jake Adelstein. For genres, I'm definitely reading contemporary YA the most, followed by fantasy, then surprisingly sci-fi, because that is just not a top genre for me, but that's because of Skyward, definitely. But also surprisingly, nonfiction is tied with sci-fi, which is just also not a top genre for me. But I read quite a few memoirs this year, 2 of which I did not even realize were memoirs until I picked them up. And then really lacking on the dystopian this year, which is kind of surprising because that is usually a top genre for me. And then yeah, my stats. Reading slightly more female than male authors. Reading lots of fiction, of course, as usual, but a good amount for me of nonfiction, like I said. But sadly no poetry yet. I should be doing some poetry, although preferably novel told in verse, because I do like that better than just straight poetry. And then my reread versus first time read is a pretty good breakdown. I would like to be rereading just maybe a little bit more. And then my diversity stats, which, you know, they're not super great. I definitely could up them a bit more. And then yeah, a little sneak peek at July here. But I'm gonna finish this page and then give a little clip of that at the end. So here's that look at the Name of the Wind page. Like I said, nothing too exciting anyways. I gave it 3.5. It was a very slow start, but it got better. But still not good enough for me to commit to the second one when there is no third book. So yeah, that was a look at my reading journal halfway through the year. Let me know some of the most exciting books you've read so far for the first half of this year. Any books that you're looking forward to for the last half of the year. I hope you enjoyed my reading journal, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Remember, words matter.